Heroin destroyed prisons. I watched it come in, absolutely destroy the heart of each person who indulged in it. People used to say, "Oh, I want to indulge, only dabble." You know what I mean? Now and then, but it's never now and then. Heroin takes you, and it takes your soul. It takes everything from your pockets. It destroys everything around you, and it's your loved ones it's left to deal and pick up the pieces of your failure. Because as soon as you touch that, the dragon wins. And I've never ever come across a person who is one on to smoke heroin or inject. It just destroys it. And I watched it come into the system. I watched the system change from cannabis, where everything was mellow, everything was sensible, everything was okay. They got by. There was no real violence over drugs. And then it all changed. They brought in the Fresh Start, they brought in the piss test, the mandatory drug tests. And I remember the big arguments at the time when they were trying to get everyone to accept the drug tests and not riot and smash the prisons to bits. And we were given the promise that they wouldn't interfere or they wouldn't stop us having cannabis. We'd be able to smoke it continually, unofficially, of course, but there would be no repercussions as long as we accept the piss test, we go along with them, and it becomes part of the system. So eventually that was accepted, and that's what everyone did. They accepted it. But then, before we knew it, everyone was getting caught with cannabis and getting punished harshly, really harshly. And you thought, oh fucking hell, we had a deal. But of course, another deal, not in writing, therefore it's not at all. Another lie told by England. England's good at telling lies, especially within the system. It's a very dark place, English justice, because there is no justice. There's only justice of the elite and what they perceive to be and how they can punish those below them. And that's just about everyone who's not an elite. And the middle class, you need to understand one day that you're at fault many ways because you accept and you do nothing about what is happening around you. You accept it because it's not happening to you. But then it creeps up and it has happened to you. And you're like, oh no, what's happened? Help! And then there will be no help because the establishment have took it. There is no help, there's no mercy. If you mess up, then you realise just how much vulnerable you are and how there is no mercy. No one there to help you at all. And that's the sad reality. When you understand, become awake, as they say, to the reality of life. It's not as you're told through the media, the news and newspapers and everything. That is barely the truth that is put across. It's only through maturity and time pass and experiences learned through living through it that you understand and you get a comprehension of what life is and the reality of it as it attains to you. Like getting back in prison, I watched that heroin come into prison. I watched it tear apart good people. I watched it destroy the equilibrity of the landings, the respect for the old school. I watched the wars come in, all the gangs form, all the violence, the exploitation, the insanity that was just become so unsafe. And for what you got for a bag for £10, it was atrocious. You get about 4 or 5 lines, 6, 7, 8 lines if you're lucky. I'm talking wee tiny lines like that wouldn't give a mouse a hit. But in the distortion of prison, you do get that out of your head sense because it's like a placebo effect. Placebo, can't pronounce it. That you kid on. You kid yourself that you're more stoned than you are, or and once you get addicted to heroin or any substance, then once you get something to straighten you out, then you're straightened out and you're normal. You don't get a buzz, you're just normal, but you're not rough, you're not strung out. So that's you. You're happy. But you need to have a lot of money or people outside with money to actually become an addict in prison. But there's many who do it. And then there's all the dealers. Everyone, all of a sudden, they get a couple of grams of heroin and they've got a fur jacket on, bouncing around the landing as if they're Al Capone. Honest to God, I've never seen anything like it. But it's the problems it caused. And then, of course, after the Good Friday Agreement, once all the boys got out, because they had the prison sort of established with rules and and things like that, and what's right and what's not, and what's accepted and what's not upon the landings of long-term prisons. But once the boys got out, and prison became a lot different in the long-term prisons, and the Muslims started to come in, and they formed into gangs, big gangs, and that was all based around the drugs, radicalisation, a hatred for the West, a hatred for Christianity, and a hatred for prison. They formed themselves, and right now in prison it's very dangerous with the Muslims. You know, they're very organised. I have personally myself had to de-radicalise two of my friends, the last one being in the CCAT. You know, I was walking around the landing one day, went out to exercise. Next minute, one of my pals is running around with a fucking dress on. I'm like, what? He's got a dress on, he's running around with his wee hat. I'm like, oi, come here, you. What the fuck was happening to you? And I'm a Muslim now. And this guy, he had problems, you know, he was backwards, and he was very vulnerable, and he was psychologically weak. And that's what they do. They got people like that, just like that Richard Blade, the shoe bomber. That's how they got him. They seen that he was weak and vulnerable in prison, so they radicalised him, made him important, and got him to do what he tried to do. And this was the same with this lad. He was getting radicalised and getting all the big meals, and all his drug debts paid off, and he was getting protection. That I managed to, through his mother and others, to de-radicalise him. And he told me a story that the Special Branch MI5 actually came in a few times and were interviewing him, unbeknown to me, nothing to do with me, but they were coming in. This is how serious they were taking it, and they were really taking it serious, because this was a dangerous situation that had sort of consequences for when these people got released upon society, and the destruction they're intent in causing. And that all started, a lot of it, through the consumption of drugs in prison and the vulnerability of a person who is in the need of that substance. And the Muslims actually facilitated that. And a lot of the biggest dealers in the system just now are Muslims, and it is Muslim-led, Muslim-controlled. No, I've seen it with my own eyes. I've dealt with them many a time. Can I tell you, like one guy, they went in Garty prison the second time. You know, I used to get £500 a time off him. You know, when he gave me £500 worth. Oh, cheers. And then another £500 worth, and then he come for £1,000. I told him to fuck off, you know what I mean? He's like, but I gave you, I put it in your hand. I said, well, you put it in my hand any time. I said, I'm going to close that hand and I'm going to keep what you put in it. You know what I mean? Don't put it in my hand. Anyway, and he put his chest out and all that. But when it come down to, he wanted to go to war over that. But we were stronger at that time, so he didn't. But he was just a fool. But that was the danger. There was this so rampant that there was staff he's doing it and running around and expecting the backup. You know, so there was a lot of testing periods like that of you would just take £1,000 off them, or they would send people in to take it back off you, and that's where all the wars started. And then there was people getting cut and slashed and bashed for, what, £10? An ounce of tobacco? You couldn't fathom that out, you know, with the cannabis and things like before. There was none of that at all. If you didn't pay or you tried to get lemon, then you didn't get it again, you get blacklisted, so you got nothing. And that was worse than anything, having nothing. So I watched Heroin, I watched it destroy and change personalities and people. I watched big personalities, well-known people, gangsters, faces, secretly come to me, because I was dealing it, you know. I dealt it for years and years, and I was dabbled right in it deeply. So I knew the secrets and the deals, because they came to me and they got their stuff from me. And they used to always say, oh, don't say this and don't say that, don't tell him and don't tell him. But yet they all knew. They're all doing it behind each other's backs. And then it becomes so systematic, so prevalent, that it was a dominant currency. And then all of a sudden, everyone was on it. So all the secrecy, there was no need for it. And now They just formed their camps, wee junkie camps. Dangerous because, see that, you need to get your fix, because if you don't, you're strung out and you are in trouble physically, mentally. It's like having a flu, 1,000 times worse than your worst flu. So, you need to go and you need to get a charge in you. You need to get rid of the dragon that's breathing down your neck. The withdrawals, the craving, tearing your guts out, the diarrhea, shiting all out you, the puke coming up, the bile, the sneezing, the eyes running, the yawning, absolutely no sleep, tossing and turning, total nightmare. Or you go and get a bag and it sorts you out and you're happy as Larry. As they say, away with everything is perfect and sweet and harmonised and romanticised. Nothing goes wrong, and that's what it does to you. It gives you that sense of euphoria where all the problems or realities of living is out the window and it's what you create and it's distortion of your mind. Is the life that you live or believe you're living in, but it's your people that pays for it. As I say, I indulged heavily in that market. I was getting an ounce of heroin a week I was selling every week. That's a lot. It's worth thousands and thousands of pounds. Because that was just the normality. And as I say, my friends say to you, don't bring out with you any habits, behaviours onto the streets. Do what you have to do to survive, but it stays within the walls. And you don't bring it out of you. And I never did, because it was not my thing. I was never into that world of drugs. I used it because it was a commodity. Started out with the cannabis, started out with the barring of the tobacco, barring out the tobacco, quarter for a half ounce back, things like that. It was 2 ounces for a tenner, but it's now an ounce for a tenner, things like that. That's how you accumulated your finances, and everything has a cost and it's exploited. Totally. And that's institutional life. And that's where the danger is, because there is so much money involved, especially now, the heroin. And the Muslims have got it wrapped right up. They've got it well controlled. So much so that, I've seen people get kidnapped into a cell, and filmed on the phone, and that going live stream to the people, or wherever it's going, and they've got to pay a ransom. And all that, or pay the drug debts of thousands of pounds. I've seen some appalling and brutal situations, all through drugs in prison. And all screws, gym screws, all sorts of people corrupted and bringing it in for the lads and being corrupted and compromised, because as soon as they go and meet someone, they get photographed, backtracked back to the live photograph, and then presented with the evidence for the next time. They get paid the first time for doing it, and then they're obliged to do it. If they don't, they're exposed. That's how they get them. Prisons are very, very sharp. They don't miss a trick, especially when it comes down to the world of the black market in prison of drugs. Too much money, too much control. So dangerous, and it can never stop. You can't stop it through visits and things like that, because it comes in so many other different ways, because it's needed, it's a necessity. You have to live it to experience it, and it's hard to talk about it to get that realism out for people to understand the problem that it is and what it creates. And it brings a dark, distorted world. And I would say to anyone who just now has got any loved ones, or they think that someone is on it in prison, to get them off it, to speak to them and to get help, because they have to leave it behind them. They can't bring it out with them, and they need to try and get help when they're in there, because you'll get no help when you're out. To get off it, you'll only get worse and you'll be left in the gutter. So if you have got an addiction just now in prison, please think about getting off it. There is help available. You need to want it, you need to go for it, and you need to believe that you can do it. So God bless, and I wish you well.